The barrage of bullets sending 2 people to the hospital, and it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Pooh Shiesty just got raided after violating his release terms after only being out for 3 months. Behind his first day out celebration, this Memphis rapper was moving reckless in ways that ultimately led to his freedom being snatched away again. You know the feds played dirty, and when he was dissing them on his first day out song, which has over 25 million views now, they made sure to get his ass. The shocking truth behind what brought him down is more predictable than anyone wants to admit, and we're about to break down exactly how he fumbled the bag. But before we get into all that, let me break down everything for y'all boys. This Memphis rapper was supposed to be living his second chance when federal agents ran up in his spot and violated his parole. Now hold up before y'all start thinking this came out of nowhere. Homie been moving like he didn't care about his freedom since day one. But here's where it gets real spicy. He was practically begging to go back. For those who haven't been keeping up, Pooh Shiesty came home after serving just under 5 years of what was supposed to be an 8-year sentence. The feds originally wanted him to do 20 years, but his legal team got it knocked down. Still, coming home early on federal parole means you're walking on thin ice every single day. When Pooh Shiesty first came home, he was supposed to be on his best behavior. Federal parole ain't no joke, fam. You got curfews, check-ins, and a whole list of things you can't do. But this dude, he was moving like the feds wasn't watching. I remember when he was on Ben the Don stream and his parole officer called him asking where he was. Bro was supposed to be home for his curfew, but he was out in the streets past his time. And get this, he lied to his PO while on camera. Ben had to mute the mic because he knew that was some hot type shit.
Hello?
Yeah,
Little Trey Williams, yeah, I'm at the house. Yeah, keep it. All right. Just go, kid. Go make a right. No. You said what? Yes, I am. Yes, I am, man. Check it good. That's where I live at. That's where I live at. Refresh it. That's where I live at. Look. I ain't lying to you. I ain't playing no game.
You can mute the joint right now, Trey.
I don't want to play like that.
That's some real reckless behavior right there. The crazy part is, this wasn't just a one-time thing. Pooh Shiesty been moving like he was untouchable since day one. He was posting on social media, flexing with jewelry, cars, and talking that street talk like he wasn't still technically a federal prisoner on supervised release. But yo, this is where the story gets deeper than just violating curfew. See, Pooh Shiesty been telling on himself through his music. In his lyrics, he straight up said, "Out on paper with a fully ARP sitting on my counter." Now in the streets, we know Pooh don't rap cap. When he says something in his bars, that's his reality. For y'all who might not understand, an ARP is a fully automatic weapon, something a federal parolee definitely can't have. The real kicker though, he was staying in a halfway house as part of his release conditions. Let me explain what that is for those who don't know. When federal inmates get released early, they don't just go straight home. They got to stay in a transitional facility called a halfway house. You sleep there every night, follow strict rules, and gradually earn more freedom. It's designed to help people readjust to society, but you still got to follow federal guidelines. In a halfway house, you got a curfew. Usually you got to be back by a certain time every night. You can't just come and go as you please. You got to get permission to travel, permission to work certain jobs, and you definitely can't be around other felons or gang members. The whole point is to slowly transition you back into society while keeping you under close supervision. But here's the thing about federal supervision. They don't play games. State parole might give you some slack, but federal parole officers are trained to watch your every move. They can search your place anytime, drug test you randomly, and if you violate even the smallest rule, you're going right back to finish your sentence. For someone like Pooh Shiesty, who's the CEO of Choppa Gang, this supervision was supposed to be even stricter. The feds don't just watch individuals, they watch organizations. When you're the head of something called Choppa Gang, you already know they keeping tabs on everyone you associate with, everywhere you go, and everything you do. Now let's talk about what got Pooh Shiesty in this whole mess to begin with. This wasn't his first rodeo with the law, and his pattern of behavior shows he never really learned his lesson. The case that sent him away originally involved some serious street business. Back in 2020, Pooh Shiesty was involved in multiple incidents that caught federal attention. The main case involved him robbing somebody after meeting up with them, then shooting them during the robbery.
Now, in just one station, surveillance cameras showing a new view of a violent shootout in a parking lot of a South Florida apartment building. The barrage of bullets sending 2 people to the hospital, and it lands a rapper in jail.
According to court documents, this wasn't just a random crime.
And it lands a rapper in jail. 7 Sheldon Fox with the exclusive.
Rhode Island says you're wanted with it.
Mr. Williams, you were arrested for pursuant to an arrest warrant.
It was part of a pattern of violent behavior that the feds had been tracking. But that wasn't even the end of it. There's also the story about him shooting up a club after getting his money snatched. During that incident, he shot a security guard who was just trying to do his job.
Popular rapper arrested. He's accused of shooting a security guard at a South Florida gentleman's club and will remain behind bars. A judge denied bond for 21-year-old Lontrell Williams.
Real talk, when you're moving like that in the streets, you're not just putting yourself at risk. You're endangering innocent people trying to make a living. The federal government built their case around multiple incidents, including armed robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, and conspiracy charges. They painted a picture of Pooh Shiesty as someone who used violence as his first option, not his last resort. The prosecution argued that he was a danger to the community and needed to be locked up for the full 20 years they originally sought. His defense team worked hard to get that sentence reduced, arguing that he was young, had potential as an artist, and could be rehabilitated. They got it down to 8 years, which was still a significant sentence, but much better than the 2 decades he was facing. When Pooh Shiesty came home, he had everything going for him. His first day out song was doing numbers. He was getting plaques, driving foreign cars, and even rumored to be with India Love. He had the opportunity to build a legitimate empire, but somehow he still managed to mess it up. The First Day Out track was more than just a song. It was a statement. He was telling the world he was back, he was focused, and he was ready to take over the rap game. The song got millions of views, and for a minute it looked like he was going to be one of those success stories, the guy who learned from his mistakes and used his second chance to build something real. But behind the scenes, the street's been talking about how he was moving. People who knew him said he never really left that street mentality behind. He was still hanging with the same people, still talking that same talk, and still moving like he was invincible. The problem with federal parole is that they're watching everything. Your social media posts, your music videos, who you're hanging with, where you're going, everything is under a microscope. When you're rapping about having automatic weapons while you're on supervised release, that's not just artistic expression, that's evidence. The real tea that got everybody shook was how Ben the Don first broke the news on his stream. During a live broadcast, Ben got a phone call about the raid. You could hear the shock in his voice when he found out they took everything and cleaned them up. Ben tried to keep it low-key at first, but the streets was already talking. In the clip that went viral, you can hear Ben telling his caller, "You remember that bet when Buddy had this right here and I told you he going to jail? He's going back."
Remember that bet when Buddy had this right here? And I told you I was like, he going to jail?
Yeah.
He's going back.
The way he said it showed this wasn't completely unexpected. People who knew Pooh Shiesty's situation saw this coming. But here's where it gets interesting. Ben later tried to say on Twitter that the call wasn't about Pooh Shiesty. He tweeted, "I understand y'all gotta get y'all money, but that's cap as F. Shy ain't have a MF thing to do with that call." Whether he was trying to deflect or protect his homie, we don't know. But the facts came out anyway. The raid itself was probably planned for weeks or even months. Federal agents don't just show up randomly. They build cases, gather evidence, and strike when they have everything they need. Based on what we know, they went to his spot, found whatever they were looking for, and took him into custody immediately. Later, all the blogs started posting about Pooh Shiesty being back in custody. DJ Academics confirmed it with the federal prison records, showing Pooh Shiesty's real name, Lontrell Donnell Williams Jr., his register number, and his new release date, April 11th, 2026. That date is significant because that was his original release date before he got out early on parole. Now, this ain't just about one violation. This is about a pattern of behavior that shows Pooh Shiesty never really took his second chance seriously. The street's been talking about how he was moving since he came home, and it wasn't looking good. For y'all who might not understand federal parole, let me explain. When you get released early from federal prison, you're still technically serving your sentence, just in the community instead of behind bars. You got strict conditions, curfews, regular check-ins, no weapons, no associating with known felons, and definitely no criminal activity. Violate any of these and you go right back to finish your original sentence. The fact that his release date is April 11th, 2026, his original original release date tells us this is likely a parole violation, not new charges. If he had caught new charges, he'd be looking at additional time on top of his original sentence. Instead, they're just making him serve out the rest of his original 8-year sentence. The real question is what exactly triggered the raid? Was it his lyrics about having weapons? Was it him being out past curfew? Was it associating with other gang members? Or was it something they found during a routine check? Based on the timeline and the way everything went down, it seems like the feds had been building a case for his violation for a while. They probably had evidence of multiple violations. The curfew incident on Ben's stream, his lyrics about weapons, maybe surveillance showing him with prohibited associates. This is bigger than just one rapper though. This is about the cycle that keeps pulling young black men back into the system. When you come from the streets, it's hard to completely disconnect from that lifestyle, especially when that's what made you famous in the first place. The music industry doesn't help either. Labels want that authentic street credibility, fans want to hear about that life, and social media rewards the most outrageous behavior. So you got artists caught between staying true to what got them famous and staying free to enjoy their success. For Pooh Shiesty, his whole brand was built on being that street dude. Chopper gang, the gun talk, the robbery stories, that's what made him hot. But when you're on federal supervision, you can't live that brand anymore. You gotta find a way to evolve your artistry without violating your parole conditions. What makes this situation even more tragic is the ripple effect it has on his community and his fans. Young people look up to these artists, and when they see someone get a second chance and blow it, it sends a message that maybe change isn't really possible. Pooh Shiesty had the platform to show kids in Memphis and other cities that you can come from the streets, make mistakes, pay your debt to society, and still build something legitimate. Instead, he became another example of what not to do. The financial impact is huge too. He was making real money, streaming revenue, show money, endorsement deals. All of that stops when you're locked up. His team, his family, everyone who depended on his success is now left hanging while he serves out the rest of his sentence. And let's talk about the legal costs. Fighting federal cases is expensive. His family probably spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on lawyers to get his sentence reduced the first time. Now they might have to do it all over again if he catches new charges or wants to appeal his violation. The record label situation is complicated too. Labels invest money in artists expecting a return. When an artist gets locked up, especially for violating parole, that investment is at risk. Some labels have clauses that let them drop artists who get arrested, while others might stick with them but put their projects on hold. The real tragedy is that this was completely avoidable. All he had to do was follow some basic rules. Stay home when you're supposed to. Don't have weapons. Don't rap about illegal activities while you're still under federal supervision, and don't associate with known criminals. Simple stuff that would have kept him free to build his career and his wealth. Think about what he could have accomplished with 3 more years of freedom. He could have dropped multiple projects, built his label, invested in legitimate businesses, and really established himself as a major player in hip-hop. Instead, he's going to spend those years behind bars, watching other artists take his spot. Halfway houses are supposed to help with this transition, but they're often overcrowded, understaffed, and located in areas that make it hard to avoid the same influences that got you in trouble in the first place. For someone like Pooh Shiesty, who's famous and has money, the halfway house environment might not provide the structure and support he actually needed. The parole system is designed to be punitive rather than rehabilitative. Instead of helping people succeed, it often sets them up to fail with rules that are difficult to follow and consequences that are severe. One mistake can send you back to prison even if you haven't committed a new crime. But at the same time, the rules exist for a reason. Federal supervision is supposed to protect the community while giving offenders a chance to prove they've changed. When someone violates those rules repeatedly, especially someone who was convicted of violent crimes, the system has to respond. So what happens now? Pooh Shiesty is scheduled to be released on April 11th, 2026, assuming he doesn't catch any new charges while he's locked up. That gives him about 15 months to think about his choices and hopefully come up with a better plan for when he gets out. The hip-hop landscape will be different when he comes home. New artists will have emerged, the sound might have evolved, and his momentum will be gone. Starting over in the music industry is hard enough when you're young and unknown. It's even harder when you're older and carrying the baggage of multiple arrests. His legal team might try to appeal the violation or argue for early release again, but that's going to be much harder this time. Judges don't like to see people waste second chances, and prosecutors will argue that he's proven he can't be trusted in the community. The best thing he can do now is use this time productively. Write music, read books, maybe get his GED, or work on other educational programs. When he gets out, he'll need to show that he's really changed, not just talking about change. The real question is, what happens when he gets out in April 2026? Will he have learned his lesson, or will we be having this same conversation again? The hip-hop community is watching, and hopefully other artists in similar situations are taking notes. This story is bigger than just Pooh Shiesty. It's about the choices we make when we get second chances, the influence of our environment, and the difficulty of changing your life when everything around you stays the same. For young people watching this, the lesson is clear. When you get an opportunity to change your life, take it seriously. Don't let pride, peer pressure, or the need to maintain your image cost you your freedom. Success means nothing if you're not free to enjoy it. For other artists in similar situations, this should be a wake-up call. Federal supervision is not a game. The rules might seem unfair or restrictive, but violating them will cost you everything you've worked for. Pooh Shiesty could have avoided this whole situation by focusing on his music and following his simple early release terms. Instead, he chose to move like the feds wasn't watching, and now he's back where he started, behind bars, serving out the rest of his original sentence. The saddest part is that he had everything he needed to succeed: talent, opportunity, resources, and people who believed in him. But none of that matters if you can't make the right choices when it counts. What are your thoughts on Pooh Shiesty's situation and his future in hip-hop? Do you think he'll change his ways when he gets out, or is this just the beginning of a longer cycle? Share your thoughts in the comments, and make sure you subscribe for more updates on this story and other hip-hop news. Real talk, this is a lesson for anybody out there on parole or probation. Your freedom is a privilege, not a right. Don't fumble the bag over some street credibility that ain't worth the years you'll spend locked up. Stay focused, stay free, and let your success speak louder than your past. The streets will always be there, but opportunities like the one Pooh Shiesty had don't come around often. When you get that chance to change your life, grab it with both hands and don't let go, because once it's gone, it might not come back. That's all for today, fam. Keep it 100, stay out of trouble, and we'll catch y'all in the next one. The streets is always watching, and so are the feds. Don't give them a reason to come for you.